What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with MMA community goes off on UFC 300 ticket prices. After being postponed earlier this month, the UFC 300 pre-sale tickets have officially been listed for Fight Club pre-sale members. While the price of admission for live events has gone up in recent years, partly due to demand given how many events the UFC has held at the Apex, the prices for UFC 300 tickets have left many fans completely stunned. A screenshot from Aaron Bronstetter showed the price of floor tickets listed at $3,000, lower bowl tickets listed at $1,250 to $2,500, and upper bowl tickets listed at $600 to $750. The MMA community was quick to react. One fan wrote, "I was gonna treat myself to this card since it's on my birthday, and I'm not far from Vegas, but I can't really justify that." Another fan added, "Finally, something more expensive than an MSG card." One member of the MMA community weighed in, writing, "One of the worst sports to go and watch live. 99% of people watch the big screen because it's difficult to see through the cage." Another wrote, "My tickets for UFC 263 were 1/5 of those prices, and the card was better too." Some members of the MMA community drew attention to how this will impact the promotion's gate numbers, with one writing, "No wonder they break record gates without even selling out." Another member of the MMA community wrote, "Then Dana comes in is like, we broke the gate record, highest grossing gate ever at the expense of fans. It sucks." Once the pre-sale is up and resale tickets are listed on ticket sites, prices are sure to increase even more. Next up, let's take a look at Sean O'Malley responds to backlash. Heading into UFC 298, bantamweight champion Sugar Sean O'Malley and Ilia Topuria indicated that a fight between the two could potentially be in the works depending on how things play out. After the UFC 298 card, however, with Merab Dvalishvili's impressive victory over Henry Cejudo, fans called for O'Malley to defend his bantamweight strap against the machine, and Ilia Topuria to defend his featherweight title before entertaining a champion versus champion fight. O'Malley heard the criticism from fans, posting a video on social media in response.
Initially, I was calling for Ilia. I wanted the Ilia fight. I wanted that fight. It excites me, but I also thought the fans would get excited about it. Got a lot of pushback saying, "You're ducking Merab. Merab is next." So Merab's next. Let's do Merab. I'm telling you guys, I knocked Merab out. I rewatched Henry vs. Aljo after I was there, and I told you guys I'm knocking Aljo out. All you guys said, "No way, you're not knocking Aljo out, he's gonna take you down, kill you." Here we go again.
Although O'Malley will first have to go through the only man to hold a win over him in Chito Vera, he also predicted that when he and Dvalishvili fight, he's gonna knock out the streaking contender. As he explained, if both he and Topuria keep winning, a fight between the two can happen in the future. Next up, let's take a look at fighter goes off on Ilia Topuria after UFC 298 win. In the wake of UFC 298, Topuria revealed this week, while speaking with Spanish media members, that he has 3 opponents in mind for his next fight: Max Holloway, Conor McGregor, or Sean O'Malley. According to Saturday's headliner, Yair Rodriguez, should he get the job done against Brian Ortega this weekend, he wants to share the octagon with the newly crowned featherweight champ. Speaking to media members in Mexico ahead of Saturday's card, El Pantera fired off a scathing shot at Topuria.
"No, I don't want to fight him. I want to f him up."
Yeah.
There's a fucking big difference on that. Used to make that clear. And anywhere I can see him, I'll f him up. This bitch, I don't fucking like him.
The way Luke Thomas sees things, with Max Holloway preparing to fight Justin Gaethje at UFC 300, if Rodriguez emerges victorious, a fight between he and Topuria makes sense. He took to social media, writing, "If Yair Rodriguez wins, Ilia Topuria's first title defense should be against him." Fans reacted to the comments from Rodriguez, with one writing, "This is how you sell a fight. Pushing beef, big stakes, and 2 of the best fighters in the division? Count me right the heck in." Another added, "Ilia might send him back to the prelims." One member of the MMA community added, "Spain versus Mexico is an easy sell. Let's make it happen, UFC." Another fan also weighed in on the potential clash between the 2 stars from Spain and Mexico, writing, "As a Mexican, this is a different kind of beef, and I'm here for it. I love it. That fight has to happen. Spain versus Mexico." While Topuria's dominant victory over Volkanovski has many confident that a new era is upon the featherweight division, one fan wrote, "I'm backing Yair all day. Do it for Volk." Depending on how things play out on Saturday, it's safe to say it'll be interesting to see how the UFC handles the 145-pound title picture. Next, let's take a look at Alex Pereira reveals shocking news during interview. The rivalry between Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira is a long and storied one that has seen the two compete against one another 4 times now. After 2 kickboxing wins over the last stylebender, Pereira chased his longtime rival to MMA, where he secured a 3rd win over Adesanya to capture UFC gold. When the two men met inside the octagon again, it was Adesanya who emerged victorious, evening the score in MMA. While there's been plenty of talk of the two rivals potentially competing against one another again, Pereira's sights seem to be set on defending the 205-pound title, and even potentially making the move up to heavyweight. Given that, it sounds as though another fight between Pereira and Adesanya is unlikely to happen. During a recent appearance on the MMA Hour alongside his coach, who acted as a translator, Pereira indicated that if he and Adesanya are not going to be competing against one another, then they could wind up training together. While speaking on the rivalry, Pereira stated,
he feel that it's over, right? But anything can happen. If he show interest, the organization show interest, he will do the fight. But at this point, the way that it was shown, he think it's over. Even to a point that he thinks that they both could even train together if it comes down to that.
Really?
Because he feels that if that ever happened, Israel is a very experienced guy. Alex is a very experienced guy, have his own credits, similar styles of high-level striking, different aspects of the game that one could add to the other. But if it comes down to that fight, it will be good, but there's not something that he's holding on to no more.
With Adesanya expected to fight Dricus du Plessis for the middleweight title, and Pereira looking to defend his belt at UFC 300 and UFC 301, it'll be interesting to see if the two wind up training together. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at fight updates. With an action-packed night of fights right around the corner in Mexico, let's take a look at some UFC fight updates, starting with an addition to the UFC Fight Night 244 card on May 11th, where Jared Gordon and Kevin Jousset will collide in a welterweight bout that will see Gooden look to build on a submission win over Wellington Turman back in December, and Jousset look to pick up his 3rd straight win inside the octagon after picking up back-to-back victories to close out 2023 after signing with the UFC. The following week, 2 fights have been added to the May 18th Fight Night card, with Luana Pinheiro and Angela Hill set to throw down in a strawweight bout, and Tamires Vidal and Haley Cowan set to throw down in a bantamweight bout. The first fight will see Pinheiro look to bounce back after a November loss to Amanda Ribas, which snapped a 3-fight win streak inside the octagon, while Hill will look to build on a November victory over Denise Gomez. At the same time, Tamires Vidal will be looking to bounce back after a loss to Montserrat Rendon back in September, while Haley Cowan will be looking to bounce back after a loss to Jamie Lynn Horth in April, where she missed weight for the 135-pound contest. Last but certainly not least in the way of UFC fight updates, reports have indicated that Francis Ngannou will be returning to the cage after his boxing match with Anthony Joshua to fight the winner of the upcoming Ryan Bader vs. Renan Ferreira bout scheduled for this weekend. Bader, of course, defended the Bellator heavyweight title back in February, when he defeated MMA legend Fedor Emelianenko, while on the flip side, reigning PFL heavyweight tournament winner Renan Ferreira will be looking to build on a 3-fight win streak from last year. Next, let's take a look at Merab the Machine Dvalishvili grapples with influencer. After stepping into the octagon to box with Sean Strickland at the UFC PI leading up to the Super Bowl, content creator Sneako hit the mats with bantamweight #1 contender Merab Dvalishvili for some grappling in the wake of the Machine's win over Henry Cejudo. A stream with Sneako and Dvalishvili was advertised earlier in the week. However, few could have predicted what the streaking bantamweight had in store for the influencer. While Dvalishvili didn't leave the influencer with a bloody nose like Sean Strickland did, he repeatedly hit him with open-handed strikes over and over while controlling the action using his grappling. While some praised Dvalishvili for holding back and submitting Sneako rather than leaving him bloody like former middleweight champ Sean Strickland did, others joked that the treatment the Machine gave the influencer was equally as dominant and humiliating. Next, let's take a look at Jorge Masvidal calls out Justin Gaethje for BMF fight. Jorge Masvidal caught the attention of MMA fans back in January when he announced that he was unretired, 8 months after a lopsided loss to Gilbert Burns made it 4 straight for the original BMF. While plenty of theories circulated regarding who Masvidal could wind up competing against, nothing has come to fruition quite yet. Ahead of UFC 300, however, it sounds as though Masvidal has his eyes on the upcoming BMF fight between Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway. Speaking in a recent interview with Low Kick MMA, Masvidal indicated his desire for a fight with Justin Gaethje.
So when I won the belt, Dana said that it'd be 1-1 and the belt is done and be no defending of it. So there never was no talk about it, at least for me. But I think now the temperature on that theme has changed. You know, now it's a little different. They're doing things a little different. And Justin's very good. If you put BMF against BMF, you put me against Gaethje in there, I will break his fucking eye orbital and I will chop him up, man.
Of course, first, Gaethje will have to get through former featherweight kingpin Max Holloway. Should he emerge from the fight victorious, the expectation is that he will push for a title fight against Islam Makhachev. However, Dana White has indicated that the Oliveira vs. Sarukian fight set for UFC 300 will see the winner earn a title fight, leaving the door open to a potential clash between Masvidal and Gaethje depending on how things play out. Khamzat Chimaev dismisses UFC 300 in a recent interview with FCR MMA. Khamzat said he wouldn't be ready in time for UFC 300 and also said he wants to fight in Saudi Arabia, but doesn't think anyone will want to fight him. Here's what Khamzat had to say.
In the summer, I think in the summer we'll be back. So I want to fight in Saudi Arabia, but so I don't think so anyone wants to fight me there. So we'll see what's gonna happen. So just waiting for something. And they wanted me to fight 300, but I said it's too short time for 77 kilos, so I need a little bit of time.
That's true. They asked you to fight Leon Edwards?
It wasn't 100% sure, but they talked, my manager said maybe, that's all. I said, my brother said to me, not in Ramadan. So after Ramadan, we take some time, camp, and then we fight anyone.
Khamzat is in a weird spot right now because he said Dana told him he's next in line for a title shot, but Dricus du Plessis wants to fight Israel Adesanya next and thinks that Khamzat doesn't deserve a title shot. Top comments. No one ever thought Khabib would come back, but this is almost flat earther level shit. Imagine Pereira getting 3 belts. Michael Chandler will end up like these crazy homeless old dudes yelling, "Conor McGregor, where you at?" 4 at night. There's no world where the UFC offered Khabib $40 million to return. That's just Cormier being a good company man. Those who don't know the backstory behind the Pereira-Hill fight, Hill beat Glover and Glover has trained Pereira and is good friends with him. Pereira bought him a damn Harley. So it's about Pereira avenging his sensei's loss. I know it's not a popular opinion right now, but I think it will be a great fight if Hill's injuries don't mess up his camp. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.